I shivered under the tattered blanket, hugging my knees to my chest as rain dripped through the torn awning above. The city smelled of wet asphalt and garbage, a scent that had become my second skin. "You froze again," Maya said, her voice rough but soft at the edges. She shoved her soggy hair behind her ear and handed me a small paper cup with something warm inside. "Drink it before it gets cold." I sniffed it cautiously. "Coffee? Don't act like you've had real coffee before. This is barely lukewarm water with a hint of flavor," she muttered, crouching beside me. Her eyes scanned the empty street. "But it'll keep you alive longer than just staring at the sky." I wrapped my hands around the cup, letting the warmth seep into my fingers. "Thanks, Maya. Honestly, I don't know what I'd do without you." She smirked. "You'd probably freeze solid and turn into a statue. Admit it." "I'd rather be a statue than smell like wet garbage," I said, grimacing as a rat scuttled by. Maya snorted. "Fair enough." We sat in silence for a few moments, listening to the rain pounding on the broken pavement. Then she leaned closer. "Lila, did you see that guy earlier?" I followed her gaze. A well-dressed man had stopped across the street, his polished shoes splashing through puddles as he handed a few bills to a young boy. He didn't just give the money, he watched the kid like he was analyzing him. There was something in the way he tilted his head, a mix of arrogance and curiosity. "I saw him," I whispered. "That's Damien Carlyle, isn't it?" Maya's eyebrows shot up. "The millionaire? What's he doing here in this rain?" "I don't know," I admitted. "But there's something off. He's not just helping. He's studying him like he's picking apart a puzzle." Maya frowned. "Lila, you've been staring way too long. People like that aren't for us. Forget him." I shook my head, unable to look away. "No, Maya. There's something about him. I don't know what, but..." My words trailed off. The man noticed me then. Our eyes met and a chill ran down my spine. He walked toward me with slow, deliberate steps, ignoring the mud and puddles. My heart pounded, but curiosity pried at my fear. "You're Lila, correct?" His voice was smooth, deep, and commanding. I blinked. Yes. "Who's asking?" "Damien Carlyle," he said, offering a gloved hand. "I've been observing you." Maya hissed. "Lila, get up. Now." I hesitated. Something in his gaze held me in place. "Observing me? For what?" "Straight to business, I like that," he said, ignoring Maya. "I have a proposition for you. One that could change your life." I narrowed my eyes. "Change my life? What kind of proposition?" He looked around, making sure no one was near. "I want you to carry my child." I choked on my own disbelief. "Excuse me?" Maya grabbed my arm. "Lila, don't even." "I'm listening," I said, cutting her off. My pulse raced, a mix of fear and curiosity. "I'm offering you a substantial sum of money," he continued, voice steady, "in exchange for your agreement to become pregnant and deliver my child. You will be compensated generously and your life could be secured in ways you can't even imagine right now." I laughed nervously. "You're insane. Do you think I'd just agree to that? You don't even know me." "I don't need to know you," he replied, tilting his head. "I need assurance that you will follow through. That you will cooperate." Maya's grip tightened. "Lila, walk away. This is dangerous. You don't even know what he wants. Millionaires like him, they don't play fair." "I know," I whispered, staring at him. Something in me, an exhaustion, a hunger for security, a yearning for more than the cold streets, whispered that maybe this could work. Maybe I could survive. "How much money are we talking about?" Damien's lips curved into a small, calculating smile. "Enough to ensure you never have to sleep on the streets again. Enough to give your child a life you can't even dream of now." I felt my stomach twist. "And you just pick someone off the streets to have your baby?" "Not pick, choose," he corrected smoothly. "I've observed you. You have resilience, intelligence, survival instincts. These are qualities I respect." I swallowed hard, unsure if I was repulsed or tempted. Maya's voice snapped me back. "Lila, don't even think about it. You're not a tool." I pulled away from her. I know. My hand shook. "But what if it's my only chance?" Damien tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle again. "That's exactly why I came to you. You're practical, smart. You'll understand the stakes. And I assure you I can provide protection, guidance, and compensation beyond what you've ever imagined." Maya's eyes narrowed. "And what happens if you say no?" Damien's smile faded, replaced with a flash of something sharp, almost predatory. "Then nothing changes for me. And nothing changes for you, except that opportunity has passed. Think carefully, Lila. Opportunities like this don't knock twice. I chewed my lip, heart pounding. The idea of warmth, a home, safety, money, security, it was intoxicating. My mind raced. Could I trust him? Could I trust anyone? But the streets had taught me one thing. Survival sometimes demanded compromises I hated. I started, but my voice faltered. Take your time, Damien said. But not too long. I'll return tomorrow and I expect an answer. I nodded slowly, unable to tear my eyes away. Tomorrow? He turned, leaving puddles splashing behind his expensive shoes. The rain seemed heavier now, more oppressive, but somehow I felt it wash over me as if marking the moment my life could change forever. Maya grabbed my arm, pulling me into a tighter embrace. You can't do this, Lila. You can't. I know, I whispered, shivering. I know. But you're thinking it, she said, voice trembling. That's why I'm scared. You've been dreaming of escaping this life for years. Don't let him make you think this is the only way. I hugged her back tightly. I'm not sure, Maya. I have no idea what to do. She sighed, staring out at the street. Then don't decide now. Just survive tonight. That's all you can do. I nodded, staring after Damien's disappearing figure. Something had shifted. A sliver of possibility glinted in the darkness, bright and terrifying all at once. Lila, Maya whispered again, shaking her head. Be careful. He's not like anyone you've met. And if he gets what he wants, it won't just be your life that changes. I swallowed hard, wrapping my arms around myself. I know. But maybe I can make sure it changes in my favor. Maya frowned. You're already thinking about him, aren't you? I can't help it, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. I'm cold. I'm tired. I want to survive. More than I've ever wanted anything in my life. She shook her head, muttering something I didn't catch, but she didn't stop me. I stared at the puddles, at the reflection of neon signs distorted in the water. Tomorrow I'd have to make a choice. And I knew one thing for certain. Nothing would ever be the same again. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. My mind raced through possibilities, through the streets I'd walked, the nights I'd survived, and the future that Damien Carlyle had just thrown in front of me like a lifeline, or a trap. The rain continued, relentless, and so did my thoughts. I knew one thing. By morning I would be forced to decide whether to step into a life I'd never imagined, or continue surviving the broken streets. The next morning the city smelled wetter than usual, like old garbage and concrete mixed with rain. I hugged my thin jacket closer and shuffled through puddles, trying not to think about Damien. I had promised myself I would ignore him, yet my mind kept replaying his calm, unnerving gaze. Morning, frozen statue, Maya said from under the awning of a closed shop. She handed me a bag with 2 slices of stale bread and a paper cup of something warm. Then we figure out how to survive another day. I bit into the bread, dry and bland. I can't stop thinking about him. Maya snorted. Of course you can't. He's rich, scary, and probably psycho. And somehow you're thinking he's tempting? Lila, you've lost it. I haven't lost it, I said, staring at the puddles. I'm just tired, Maya. Tired of being invisible. Of being cold. Of not having a single thing that's mine. Maya's eyes softened, but she didn't stop teasing. So you're thinking of taking the rich psycho's offer? You know he doesn't care about you. He wants something from you. I swallowed hard, avoiding her gaze. I know. But what if it's the only way to survive? Maya shook her head, frustrated. That's what scares me. Survival at what cost? Don't let him trick you. You have your dignity. Don't sell it for money. I'm not selling anything, I whispered, unsure even to myself. I'm negotiating a deal. Maybe it's my only chance. Her sigh was long and defeated. Just don't do anything stupid, okay? Promise me. I promise, I said, though my stomach knotted at the thought. By noon, Damien appeared just like the day before. No announcements, no calls. He simply materialized at the end of the alley, polished shoes slapping the wet pavement. I froze. Good afternoon, Lila, he said, voice calm as ever. I hope you've considered my offer. Maya hissed, grabbing my arm. See? He doesn't even knock. This is not normal. Walk away. I can't, I whispered, more to myself than her. Damien's eyes glinted, sharp and calculating. I understand hesitation. A decision like this is not made lightly. But let me clarify my terms. I forced myself to stay standing. Go on, I said, voice tight. You will receive full financial support for the duration of your pregnancy. You will have a private residence, medical care, and all necessary amenities. Privacy will be respected. No questions from me except those that are necessary. I will not interfere with your life beyond this arrangement. I blinked. You're offering me a house, money, care just like that? Provided you agree to carry my child and abide by our terms, yes. His eyes narrowed slightly. I am not offering a relationship, companionship, or emotional support. This is strictly transactional. Do I make myself clear? I felt a shiver run through me. Disgust, fear, and a tiny spark of hope tangled together in my chest. Yes, you're clear. Maya stepped closer, practically growling. Don't even think about saying yes. This is wrong on so many levels. He doesn't see you. He sees a womb, a vessel. That's it. I swallowed and looked at Damien. And if I say yes, everything else disappears? I get safety, money, security? Everything you currently lack, he said, voice smooth and precise. A stable environment, freedom from the streets, control over your own life. All of it, Lila. My fingers tightened on my bag strap. And if I say no? His jaw tensed slightly. Then nothing changes. Your life continues as it is. Cold, difficult, unpredictable. But the offer stands only until tomorrow. Maya's eyes were wide. Lila, are you seriously thinking about this? I'm thinking, I said softly, that maybe, just maybe I can survive. Damien leaned slightly forward, his presence imposing yet strangely compelling. I respect practicality. I also admire those who make clear-headed decisions under pressure. You have that potential, Lila. You just need to choose to use it. I hesitated, heart pounding. And you won't interfere? You won't try to control me? Beyond the agreed terms, no, he said evenly. But understand this, if you betray this agreement there will be consequences. I am not cruel, but I am precise. Maya's hands shook as she tugged on my arm. You're not hearing yourself. He's scaring you, Lila. He's manipulating you. I know, I whispered. But fear isn't the only thing here. I'm desperate. I want out of this life. I want more than this. You're still thinking with your stomach, not your head, Maya said, frustration and worry lacing her voice. And with your heart. That's what's dangerous. I clenched my jaw. Maybe. But maybe survival requires risk. Maybe this is the only way to take control. Damien's eyes glimmered, almost approving. Exactly. Survival is instinctual. Control is power. You have the instinct, Lila. Now the choice is yours, use it. I looked at him, then at Maya. The alley smelled of wet concrete and decay, but also possibility. I could see it, the warmth, the stability, the chance to provide for a child. A spark of hope that terrified me. My voice shook. I think, I'll do it. Maya gasped. You're serious? I am, I said, meeting her gaze. I'll protect myself. I'll protect my child. And I'll survive. Her face fell, but she didn't stop me. Instead, she pressed her hand to my shoulder. Then promise me one thing. Promise me you'll never let him break you. Never let him take your spirit. I promise, I said firmly, though my hands trembled. I'll be careful. I'll stay strong. And I'll make sure this arrangement doesn't destroy me. Damien's expression remained unreadable, but his eyes held a trace of satisfaction. Good. That is all I ask. I nodded, swallowing the tight lump in my throat. The weight of what I had just agreed to pressed down on me, heavy and suffocating. But alongside it, a strange surge of possibility sparked. For the first time, survival didn't feel entirely hopeless. Maya muttered something under her breath that I couldn't catch. She was angry, scared, and protective all at once, but she didn't try to stop me. I could feel her tension coiling in the alley like a living thing. I'll make sure nothing happens to you, I said to her quietly. We'll figure this out together. I won't let him control my life. Not fully. She stared at me for a long moment, searching my face. You better not. You hear me? Better not. I hear you, I whispered. I hear you. Damien's hand brushed against his coat as he turned to leave. I'll return tomorrow for the formalities. Be ready, Lila. And remember, this is your chance. Do not waste it. I watched him walk away, the rain soaking his perfect suit, splashing puddles with each step. A strange mix of fear and exhilaration pulsed through me. Maya grabbed my arm. You're insane. Maybe, I admitted, shivering. But maybe I just found a way to survive. She shook her head and muttered curses under her breath, but I could see a flicker of understanding in her eyes. She knew what desperation looked like. And now she knew what I was willing to do to escape it. I hugged myself against the cold, thinking about the life Damien had promised, the house, the money, the safety. It felt impossible, like a dream, but a dream I was willing to chase. I knew the deal would change everything. I knew it could destroy me. But for the first time I also knew it could save me. And that thought made me shiver in a way that wasn't entirely from the cold. Tomorrow I would take the first step into a life I had never imagined. And there was no turning back. The first time I felt the tiny flutter, I froze. My hand went instinctively to my stomach, and for a moment I wasn't thinking about Damien, money, or survival. I was thinking about the small life growing inside me. Maya, I whispered, voice trembling. I think I felt it. She looked up from the blanket she was folding, her brow furrowed. Felt what? My baby. I think it moved. Maya's eyes softened, but her voice stayed cautious. Lila, don't get your hopes up too much. You know he's unpredictable. This whole thing could blow up any second. I know, I admitted. But I can't help it. I keep imagining what life could be like. A warm room. Food. Security. For both of us. Maya sighed, shaking her head. Dreaming is dangerous when Damien Carlyle is involved. I rubbed my stomach, imagining the small hands, the tiny face, the child who would be mine. I don't care about him. I care about her. Olivia. I think I'll call her Olivia. Maya froze. You've already named her? I have, I said softly. It makes her real. And if she's real, then I can survive. I have to survive. For her. Her gaze lingered on me, concerned but quiet. She knew there was no arguing with me when I set my mind. Then my phone buzzed. Damien's number. I hesitated before answering. Yes. Good morning, Lila, he said smoothly. I trust you are keeping well? I am, I said carefully. How can I help you today? You know the terms, he said, voice cold and precise. I expect your health to be your priority. Your behavior careful. Your choices strategic. Do not forget what is at stake. I swallowed hard. I understand. Good. He paused. I will check in periodically. Do not take these calls lightly. You are under observation, Lila. I clenched my jaw. Noted. He hung up, leaving me staring at the phone. Maya leaned over my shoulder. See? I told you. He's not here to be nice. He's calculating. Obsessed with control. I know, I said. But he's not the only one I have to think about. Olivia matters more than him. Maya sighed again. You're already protective. I get it. But don't forget what kind of man we're dealing with. I won't forget, I said. But I can't let fear run my life. Not now. The city looked different to me now. People glanced at my growing belly, some with pity, some with judgment. You're showing more, Maya whispered one morning as we walked through the crowded streets. People are staring. I don't care, I muttered, brushing off the stares. I have bigger things to focus on than their opinions. Yeah, like surviving a deal with a man who thinks money buys everything, she said, scowling. I smiled faintly. Exactly. That's why I have to be smart. Careful. Strategic. For her. A man bumped into me, muttering something rude, and I clenched my fists, ready to respond. But then I felt a shift inside me, small but firm. I wasn't just protecting myself anymore. I was protecting her. You okay? Maya asked. I nodded. I am. She gives me strength. Even tiny movements like that remind me that I have purpose now. Days passed. Damien's calls came at random, short and controlled. I answered each with the same measured tone. Lila, he said once, voice colder than usual, remember your responsibilities. Your actions reflect on both of us. Do not disappoint. Neither you nor anyone else can control her, I said softly, heart thumping. I won't let anyone endanger her. I won't let anyone control me. He paused. Be careful, Lila. These are dangerous words. You forget what is at stake. I won't forget, I replied firmly. But I also won't forget who I am. And I am her mother. The thought of Sophia crossed my mind, Damien's fiancée. I had heard whispers, seen her name on documents he left behind, glimpsed pictures online. She was beautiful, polished, untouchable, and looming like a shadow I didn't fully understand yet. Don't let her scare you, Maya said, noticing my distant gaze. She's not here. You are. I know, I said. But she's coming. And when she does, I need to be ready. Olivia needs me ready. Me strong. Maya put a hand on my shoulder. Then promise me something. Don't let anyone make you doubt yourself. Not him. Not her. Not anyone. I promise, I whispered. Even with the promise, doubt crept in like a cold draft. I imagined Sophia discovering my pregnancy. Damien's cold, measured demeanor. The city streets full of strangers and dangers. But then I felt it again, Olivia's tiny flutter, her presence grounding me. I feel her moving, I told Maya one evening, my voice barely above a whisper. She smiled softly, touching my hand. She's strong just like you. She knows her mother is fighting for her already. I hugged my stomach, imagining a future that was warm and bright for the first time in years. I pictured a home, a safe room, a life where I wasn't invisible. And it gave me a thrill I hadn't felt in a long time. You're daydreaming again, Maya teased, though her voice held admiration. Don't forget the streets still exist outside that fantasy. I haven't forgotten, I said. But sometimes, I need to imagine more than survival. I need to imagine hope. The city seemed to hum around us. Strangers' glances, cold winds, the occasional muttered insult, all faded into the background as I concentrated on the tiny life inside me. You're really becoming a mother, Maya said, shaking her head. Even before the child is here, you're changing. I know, I admitted. And I have to. I don't have a choice anymore. Survival alone isn't enough. Olivia deserves more than that. And if I want her to have it, I have to be more than I ever was before. She fell silent, letting me speak, letting me imagine. We'll get through this, she said finally. Together. Yes, I whispered. Together. But she comes first. Always. And if anyone tries to stand in our way, they'll see what I'm willing to do. Maya didn't ask what I meant. She didn't need to. We both knew I wasn't joking. I felt a kick again, sharper this time. My eyes filled with tears, not from fear, but from determination. My body was changing, yes, but so was my mind. I was no longer just Lila, a homeless woman on the streets. I was Lila, a mother, protector, fighter. Olivia, I whispered, smiling through the uncertainty. We're going to survive this. No matter what. Maya squeezed my hand. You're going to be okay. You'll see. I nodded, though I wasn't completely sure. I had never been certain of anything in my life. But this, her presence inside me, our tiny connection, gave me a clarity I had never felt. And I knew without a doubt that I would do whatever it took to protect her. Even if it meant facing Damien Carlyle. Even if it meant facing the shadows Sophia might cast. Even if it meant standing against the world itself. Because Olivia was mine. And I would not let anyone take her from me. The first hint of it came in a letter slipped under my apartment door. No envelope, no greeting, just Damien's precise handwriting. I unfolded it, my fingers trembling. The child will secure the inheritance. Your cooperation ensures smooth proceedings. Do not fail. I read it twice, then a third time. My stomach twisted. Maya, he wants her, for the money? For leverage against Sophia. Maya froze, her hand tightening around mine. What? That's... Lila, that's not just cold. That's disgusting. He's using you. I know, I said, my voice shaking. I thought this was about survival, maybe protection. But it's a tool for him. For control. For someone else's gain. She pulled me into a hug, fierce and protective. You can't let him do this. You're not an object. I know. I shouted, stepping back, pacing the small room. I'm not an object. But what can I do, Maya? Damien Carlyle. He's rich, powerful, untouchable. Maya's hands fell to her sides, frustration simmering. Then fight him differently. Be smarter. Don't just accept it. You're stronger than this. I shook my head, the weight of helplessness pressing on me. I can't fight him, not yet. Not while he holds all the cards. And now, Sophia? I clenched my fists. She's in the picture. She's a threat I can't even see fully yet. But she's coming. And he's using me to hurt her, to secure something he thinks belongs to him. Maya's voice softened. Lila, I don't like seeing you like this. Angry, scared, trapped. But maybe that anger can be useful. Maybe it can give you leverage. I turned sharply, gripping the edge of the table. Leverage? Against him? Oh, he's untouchable. He has money, lawyers, connections. I'm just me. Alone. And pregnant. You're not alone, she shouted, finally letting the tears show. You have Olivia, for God's sake. And you have me. Use that. Use her. Use your wits. Don't let him manipulate you. I sank into a chair, running a hand over my face. I don't even know if I can do that. I feel Powerless. I feel small. And now I know why he chose me. Because I thought I had no choice, because I was desperate. Because I was invisible. Maya knelt beside me. Invisible no more. You're everything now. Olivia gives you power. He doesn't realize it yet. But you will. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. He still called me this morning. Checked on me like I was a project, a test. I said all the right things, kept calm, but inside, rage. Pure rage. Good, Maya said, eyes flashing. Rage is fuel. Don't let it destroy you, let it make you smarter. Stronger. More dangerous than he thinks. I leaned back, thinking about Damien's perfectly calculated visits. The way he spoke, so cold, so emotionless, like my feelings didn't matter at all. Like he could dissect me with words. The thought made my blood boil. Lila, Maya whispered, you can't fight him physically. But you can fight him, mentally. Strategically. Make him regret underestimating you. I want to, I said, voice low but steady. I want to burn every smug smirk off his face. I want him to know I'm not just a means to an end. I want justice. Or revenge. Or something. I don't even know yet. Her hand squeezed mine. It doesn't matter what you call it. Just don't let him win. I nodded, the first spark of determination igniting in my chest. I won't. Not if I can help it. The next day Damien called as expected. I took a deep breath, gripping the phone like it was a lifeline and a weapon at the same time. Yes. I said, keeping my tone steady. Lila, he said smoothly, the same calm, controlled voice that always made me uneasy. I trust you are adhering to the terms we agreed upon. I am, I said firmly. I've been careful as you instructed. Good, he said. I expect nothing less. Remember, her future depends on your cooperation. And yours as well. I could feel the anger boiling beneath the surface. Her future is not a bargaining chip for you or anyone else, I snapped. Not for money, not for inheritance, not for Sophia. She's my child. Mine. And I won't let her be used. There was a pause on the line. Then Damien's voice, calm and chilling. I expected more, gratitude for the opportunity I've provided. But your defiance is noted. Interesting. Perhaps you understand the gravity of this arrangement better than I anticipated. I clenched my teeth. I understand perfectly. I understand that you see me as a tool. I understand that you don't care about me or my child. And I understand that I will survive this. One way or another. There was another pause, and then he spoke, softer, almost amused. Very well. I look forward to your continued compliance. And do not forget, Lila, I am always watching. I hung up, my hands shaking. Maya grabbed me instantly. What did he say? I took a shaky breath. He thinks he can scare me. He thinks he can control me. But he's wrong. Maya frowned. You sound more scared than angry. No, I said firmly, voice low. I'm both. Anger sharpens my mind. Fear reminds me what's at stake. I can't be reckless, but I can plan. I can survive this. I will survive this. Maya nodded slowly. Good. Then don't waste time doubting. Start thinking ahead. What can you do to stay ahead of him? To make sure he regrets ever thinking he could manipulate you? I swallowed, the first taste of resolve bitter and thrilling. I'll think. I'll watch. I'll learn. And when the time is right, I'll act. But for now, I survive. And I protect her. Always her. The days blurred together. Damien's calls came at random, short, precise. Sophia remained a looming threat in the shadows of my mind. Her beauty, her wealth, her place in Damien's life, but I refused to think of her as unbeatable. Olivia's movements inside me became my anchor, a reminder that I had something worth fighting for. One evening, as Maya and I shared a meager meal on the sidewalk, she said softly, "You're changing, Lila. I can see it. The streets don't scare you anymore. Damien doesn't scare you. You're sharper now." I smiled faintly, rubbing my stomach. I have to be. If I don't change, if I don't grow, I'll lose everything. And I won't let that happen. Not to her. Not to me. Maya's eyes searched mine. Promise me something. Whatever you do, don't let anger consume you. Let it guide you, yes, but don't let it destroy you. I promise, I said and meant it. That night, alone in the apartment, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my reflection in the cracked mirror. I traced the small curve of my belly with trembling hands. Olivia, I whispered, I don't know what he's planning or what Sophia will do. But I swear, I'll protect you. I'll survive this. And one day they'll regret ever thinking they could control us. I leaned back, letting exhaustion wash over me. The betrayal stung, raw and sharp, but it had ignited something else too, determination. I was no longer a homeless girl surviving day to day. I was a mother-to-be, a protector, and a force that Damien Carlyle had underestimated. The first seeds of revenge were planted that night, quiet but firm, deep inside my chest. And I knew, with a clarity I had never felt before, that I would nurture them just as fiercely as I would nurture Olivia. This arrangement wasn't going to break me. It was going to make me stronger. The apartment felt smaller every day. For walls closing in, a constant hum of surveillance in my head even when the cameras weren't there, or maybe they were. I had to watch my movements, my words, even my thoughts. Damien had reminded me more than once that he was always observing, calculating. And yet, the isolation was suffocating. "Maya," I said one evening, voice low, "I feel like I'm shrinking in this place. Like I don't exist outside his rules." She shrugged, exhaustion etched on her face. "You don't. Not to him. You're a tool, Lila. You exist only for his agenda." I clenched my fist. "I can't just sit here. I can't wait to be a pawn. There has to be a way to turn this around." Maya looked at me skeptically. "Turn it around? Oh, he's untouchable." "I don't know yet," I admitted. "But I'll find a way. I have to." Then Julian appeared. He was the kind of man who didn't immediately demand attention, but somehow he made you notice. He came into the cafe I visited sometimes for a cheap cup of coffee, sat across from me and smiled without judgment. "You look like you could use a friend," he said quietly. I blinked, caught off guard. I don't know you." "I know. But sometimes strangers are safer than people who watch your every move." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Lila, be careful. I don't trust anyone new." "I'm careful," I said, more to myself than her. "But maybe I need someone." Julian's kindness was quiet, deliberate. He didn't ask about Damien or the money or the arrangement. He just listened. I found myself talking to him, first in fragments, then in long confessions. "I can't tell anyone about what's happening," I whispered one afternoon, staring at my coffee. He's everywhere. Watching. Controlling. I can't risk it." "You're safe with me," Julian said, voice soft but firm. "I don't care about Damien. I just want you to feel human again." I swallowed, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Relief. I don't even know what that feels like anymore. Safety. Freedom. Trust. "You'll remember," he said. "You just have to let yourself." The warmth of his presence was intoxicating. For a moment, I allowed myself to imagine a life where I could laugh without fear, where I could walk through the streets without checking over my shoulder. My hand rested on my belly. "Olivia, she would love this," I whispered. Maya leaned against the counter. "Don't let him make you forget the stakes. Damien will notice any shift in you, even the smallest." I nodded, biting my lip. "I know. I need this. A moment to remember I'm alive. That I'm more than a pawn." And yet, every smile I shared with Julian was shadowed by fear. What if he wasn't who he seemed? What if he betrayed me even unknowingly, leading Damien to my door? Every touch, every laugh, every casual glance was a calculated risk. "You're worried about him noticing, aren't you?" Julian asked one evening, reading the tension in my posture. "I can't let him see me changing," I admitted. "I can't let him think I'm independent. Not yet." He nodded slowly. "Then don't show him. But you can still grow. Quietly. Strategically. You're stronger than you think." I swallowed, letting the words sink in. Maybe he was right. Maybe I could plan, act, survive without letting Damien know I was doing it. My mind raced, imagining ways to gather information, leverage, power, even while trapped. Days passed. Julian became a small anchor, a reminder that life didn't have to be fear and subjugation. He didn't push, didn't demand. He offered conversations, coffee, moments of human connection I hadn't realized I craved. "You're thinking," he said one night as we walked through the quiet streets. "I can see it. Planning. Plotting." I laughed softly, bitter. "You have no idea. I can't just sit and wait to be used. I need options. Escape routes. Leverage." "You're already stronger than he knows," Julian said. "And smarter. But be careful. One wrong move and he'll notice. He doesn't forgive mistakes." "I know," I said. "And I'll be careful. But I have to try. For Olivia. For me." The growing bump of my belly reminded me constantly that I had a life inside me that mattered more than my fear. Each kick, each movement made me more determined. I wasn't just surviving, I was protecting, building, planning. Then came Damien. He arrived unannounced as always, his polished presence slicing through the air. The subtle authority he carried made my stomach tighten, not with fear alone but anger. "Lila," he said, surveying the apartment with sharp eyes. "I see changes." I froze. I'm managing as instructed." He raised an eyebrow. "Managing, or defying?" "I notice independence creeping into your behavior. It is curious, risky." "I'm just preparing for her," I said, tone steady, hiding the storm inside me. "For Olivia. I have to be ready." He tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle piece. "Interesting. You think about her, already shaping your actions. Clever. But do not mistake cleverness for power. The arrangement remains as agreed. You are still bound by terms." "Yes," I said. "Bound by terms. I understand." "You have potential, Lila," he said, voice low, almost a whisper. "But potential without obedience is dangerous. For you." I nodded, my hands trembling slightly. "I understand. I will comply." Damien lingered, his gaze sharp, evaluating before finally leaving abruptly, leaving a cold echo behind him. I exhaled slowly, relief mingling with fury. Maya watched me, eyes wide. "He noticed. He always notices. Did you feel it?" "Yes," I said, rubbing my face. "And I don't care. He thinks he scares me. But the spark is there now. The planning, the leverage, it's beginning." Maya hesitated. "Lila, you're changing. And not just for survival. Be careful. Once he realizes he could retaliate." "I know," I whispered. "But I won't let him dictate everything. I've been his pawn for long enough. It's time I start moving pieces." We sat in silence for a while, letting the tension settle. My mind raced. Contacts, options, escape routes, potential allies, ways to quietly gain leverage. I could feel the beginnings of strategy forming, small but firm. Julian entered my thoughts again. His support, his kindness. He wasn't wealth or influence, but he reminded me that life outside Damien's control existed. That gave me a perspective I hadn't had before. He could be a part of the plan, or at least the reminder that I wasn't powerless. "I'll survive this," I whispered to myself, placing a hand on my belly. "And when the time comes, I'll take control. No one, not Damien, not Sophia, not anyone will decide our fate. Olivia and we will decide it ourselves." Maya squeezed my shoulder. "Good. That's the Lila I know. Don't let him erase that fire inside you." I nodded, eyes fixed on the small curve of my stomach. "I won't. Not ever." And now the planning begins. Quietly. Carefully. Strategically. For the first time in months, the isolation didn't feel entirely suffocating. It felt like a shield, a quiet place to grow, to strategize, to prepare. Damien's rare visits reminded me of the stakes, but they also sharpened my focus. I was no longer just surviving. I was learning, adapting, and planning for the day I could turn the tables. And that day would come. The contractions started early in the morning. I had been trying to rest, feeling Olivia move gently inside me, when the first sharp wave of pain hit. I gasped, clutching the bed rail, and realized it wasn't gentle anymore. It was real, urgent, terrifying. "Maya," I cried, my voice trembling. "It's time. It's happening." She appeared instantly, calm but tense. "Breathe, Lila. You've got this. I'm right here. Focus." "I can't," I said, gripping her hand. "It hurts too much." "You can," she said firmly. "You've survived worse than this. You're stronger than the streets, than Damien, than everything. You can survive this too. For Olivia." Her words pierced through my fear, grounding me. I closed my eyes, imagining Olivia's tiny face, her small hands, the life we were about to meet. Somehow that image gave me courage. At the hospital, the nurses were efficient, moving me quickly into a delivery room. Machines beeped, lights glared, and the smell of antiseptic made my stomach twist, but Maya never left my side. "You're doing great," she said, holding my hand. "Just a little longer. She's almost here." "I'm scared," I admitted, tears streaking my face. "What if something goes wrong? What if I can't handle this?" "You can," Maya said. "I know you can. Just keep breathing." The pain intensified. I gritted my teeth, biting back screams, focusing on every word Maya said. I felt the burn, the strain, the pressure, every inch of the process that terrified me and yet thrilled me because it meant life was coming. "Push," the doctor commanded. I can't." I gasped, shaking. "Yes, you can." Maya shouted, gripping my arm. "You're the only one who can bring her into the world. Push, Lila. Push." I pushed. I screamed. I cried. And then a tiny wail sliced through the room, sharp and urgent. "She's here," the nurse exclaimed. I collapsed backward, exhausted, my chest heaving. Maya pressed against me, tears streaming down her face. "She's beautiful, Lila. She's perfect." I reached for her, hands trembling. "Olivia," I whispered, my voice breaking. The moment I touched her tiny body, felt her warmth, her pulse, I was overwhelmed. A fierce protectiveness surged through me. She was mine, and I would not let anyone, ever, take her from me. Damien appeared abruptly at the doorway, his expression unreadable. I felt my heart skip a beat, a mixture of fear and defiance swelling inside me. She's," he muttered, voice tight. "She resembles you, more than me." I didn't speak immediately. I just held Olivia closer, feeling a power shift I hadn't realized until that moment. He had wanted control, inheritance, leverage, but suddenly the power was subtly mine. My child was mine. Sophia appeared behind him, her eyes sharp and calculating. "What is this?" she asked, voice cold. Why does she look like?" I glared at her, every instinct protective. "Because she's my child. And she will not be used as a pawn in your games." Damien's jaw tightened. "Lila, remember the agreement." "I remember," I said softly but firmly. "And I remember this too, Olivia is mine. And you will not control her." He studied me for a long moment, and for the first time I saw something shift. A flicker of uncertainty, a crack in his perfectly controlled demeanor. Sophia, on the other hand, scowled, clearly sensing something amiss. Maya's hand rested on my shoulder. "She's safe, Lila. Right now she's safe. You're safe." "I know," I whispered, tracing Olivia's tiny fingers with mine. "And I'm not letting anyone take that away." Damien's voice was calm, but I caught the edge of tension. "This changes nothing, Lila. The arrangement still stands. She still belongs to the terms we agreed upon." "No," I said, voice firm, unwavering. "The terms included me carrying her, yes. But it never included giving you control over who she becomes, who she belongs to. She is mine. And she will stay with me." Sophia's eyes narrowed. "You're defying him? You think you can dictate terms now?" "Yes," I said. "I am. Because this child is mine, not a tool for your games. Not for your inheritance. Not for your ego, Damien." Maya squeezed my hand. "That's right. Say it. Own it. You don't have to fear him anymore." I did. And the fear felt different now. It was not helplessness. It was the awareness that I was stepping into power, even if tentatively, even if carefully. I would not cower for anyone. Damien's expression hardened, but the tension in his stance betrayed his uncertainty. He turned abruptly, leaving the room. Sophia followed, her eyes still narrowed, clearly plotting. Maya exhaled heavily. "That was intense. Are you okay?" I nodded, tears streaming down my face. "I am. She's okay. And I feel stronger. More capable. Olivia, she gives me that." The nurse smiled, placing Olivia gently on my chest. "Look at her. She's lucky to have a mother who loves her this much." I kissed the top of her head, feeling an almost electric sense of empowerment. "You're my strength, Olivia. My reason to survive. And my reason to fight back. We're going to be okay. Together." Maya watched me, smiling faintly. "She already knows she's loved. That's all she needs right now." I nodded, but my mind raced. Damien had underestimated me. He had underestimated the bond between a mother and her child, the leverage, the strength it could give me. Suddenly, the arrangement didn't feel like a cage. It felt like a battlefield I could navigate. "I need to rest," I whispered, exhaustion settling into my bones. "But not for long. I have planning to do." Maya tilted her head, understanding. "Good. Rest for now, but keep that fire burning. You've got more leverage than he realizes." I held Olivia close, feeling the rise and fall of her tiny chest against mine. "Yes," I whispered. "She's our shield. Our strength. And one day she'll be my sword too." Damien thought he was controlling us, but now I have control. Quiet, careful, strategic, but it's mine. The hours passed, a blur of nurses, monitors, and whispered encouragements. But throughout it all, I felt something shift in the room, a subtle change in the balance of power. Damien's presence had always loomed over me, cold and precise. Now, with Olivia in my arms, I felt a spark of independence, a hint of defiance I hadn't dared before. Sophia's absence didn't mean she wasn't plotting, but I welcomed the pause. Damien's rare miscalculation, his shock at Olivia's resemblance to me, gave me a foothold I would nurture. Every movement I made, every plan I drafted in my head, was now for survival and strategy. Maya whispered softly, "You've changed." "She's changed you. And I think you're ready for what comes next." I nodded, feeling a new determination settle deep in my chest. "Yes, I am. Olivia will be safe always. And one day, Damien will regret ever thinking he could manipulate us." The rest of the night passed in quiet vigilance. I held Olivia, feeling her tiny heartbeat synchronize with mine, drawing strength from her life, from the life we shared. The fear, the pain, the exhaustion, it all became fuel. Fuel for protection. Fuel for survival. Fuel for revenge. As I finally drifted into a restless sleep, I whispered to Olivia, "We're in this together. Always. And no one, not Damien, not Sophia, not anyone, will take you from me. Not ever." For the first time in months, I felt something I hadn't allowed myself to feel. Power. Raw, fragile, but undeniable. And I knew deep down that Olivia was more than a child. She was my leverage, my shield, my reason to fight. It started small. I refused to flinch when Damien's messages arrived, when his calls cut through my day like knives. I didn't answer immediately anymore. I let them wait, simmer, and watched him grow tense in response. "Maya," I said one evening, rolling a cup of cold tea between my hands, "I think I can do this. I think I can start controlling things." "You mean him?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," I whispered, voice sharp with determination. "It's not about destroying him yet. It's about showing him he can't control everything. That I have choices. That I have power." "You're playing a dangerous game," she warned. "Even a small mistake, he'll notice. And Damien Carlyle doesn't forgive mistakes." "I know," I said. "But I can't stay under his thumb forever. Olivia needs more than fear and rules. She needs me. And if I start small, careful, I can gain leverage." Julian appeared that evening, sitting across from me with a soft, questioning gaze. "You're thinking bigger," he said. "I see it. Careful. Strategic. You're not just surviving anymore." "I have to," I said. "I can't let him win by default. I need advantage. Observation. Leverage. Every little thing counts." He nodded. "And you have it. But don't let this blind you to the danger. He's calculating. Every move you make, he's watching." "I know," I said, teeth clenched. "But I've survived worse than him watching me. I can do this." The first chance came when he demanded a report on Olivia's growth. I answered his text with careful omissions, leaving him uncertain, small gaps in the information that forced him to question and overanalyze. "Why didn't you tell me she smiled yesterday?" he messaged later, frustration seeping through his precise words. "I didn't see her smile," I replied calmly. "She sleeps often. You know babies." Damien's response didn't come immediately. That pause, the uncharacteristic hesitation, felt like a victory. I smiled faintly. Maya caught my expression. "What are you doing?" she asked quietly. "Testing him," I said. "Seeing how far I can bend the leash without breaking it." Maya bit her lip. "That's risky. If he notices even slightly, it could backfire." "I'm aware," I said firmly. "But I've learned. Small victories now mean bigger ones later. I can't be timid anymore." Sophia's presence began to loom more frequently in my mind. Damien's household was tense. I could feel it through whispered phone calls, messages I intercepted, and casual mentions by his staff. She was suspicious. Watching. Curious about my role, about Olivia. "She's poking around," I murmured to Maya one night. "I can feel it. Sophia knows something's different. Damien, he's tense. She's smart. Dangerous." Maya frowned. "You're playing with fire." "I know," I said. "But fire is also illumination. And I need light on everything he's hiding. Every weakness, every hesitation. That's how I'll survive and win." Julian leaned forward. "Don't underestimate him," he warned. "You're clever, yes, but he's relentless. One slip, and he could ruin everything." "I won't slip," I said, voice tight. "I've survived far worse. I've lived on streets where every day was a fight. I've dealt with hunger, cold, predators. This is just another challenge." My mind drifted back to those streets for a moment. The broken pavement, the biting wind, the cold nights, everything had shaped me. Made me cunning, resourceful, careful. I realized that survival instincts weren't enough anymore. I had transformed them into strategic intelligence. "Lila," Maya said softly, "don't forget who you are. And don't forget how far you've come." "I won't," I whispered. "I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm planning. and I'm ready to act. One afternoon, Damien called, voice clipped and precise. Lila, I noticed changes. Your compliance seems less certain. Explain yourself. I smiled faintly, holding Olivia close. I'm just focused on her needs. I didn't realize that observing her could be considered defiance. You are testing boundaries, he said, his voice tight. Be careful, Lila. Testing me has consequences. Then I'll be careful, I said, tone calm but assertive. But I also won't ignore the fact that she is alive, healthy, and mine to care for. I won't let her be a tool for your schemes. There was silence on the line. Then Damien's voice, measured but tense. Interesting. Very interesting. I felt a thrill, tiny but unmistakable. He had underestimated me. That moment, that split second of doubt in his voice, was proof that I was gaining traction. Sophia's name came up in conversation shortly after. Lila, Damien said, voice clipped again. She's suspicious. Be cautious. She senses your growing independence. I am cautious, I said. But I will not retreat. Not for anyone. Olivia and I are together in this. And that is strength you cannot control. You are bold, he said almost begrudgingly. But boldness without caution is dangerous. Remember that. I remember, I said firmly. But boldness with strategy is survival. And I am not just surviving anymore. Maya exhaled, watching me carefully. You're becoming unstoppable, she murmured. I have to be, I said softly. For her. For me. So, I'll be more than that. I'll be leverage. I'll be power. And he won't even realize it until it's too late. Julian's eyes were concerned. Don't let confidence blind you. He will test you, push you. You have to stay one step ahead at all times. I will, I said. And I'm learning how. Every small victory, every hesitation I notice, every gap in his control. I'm memorizing it. Planning for it. Preparing. The tension in Damien's household increased. Sophia's curiosity grew, her presence sharp, her questions subtle but probing. Damien became impatient, terse, noticing the smallest deviations. But I moved carefully, subtly, learning, observing, testing boundaries. One day, a message arrived from Damien. Lila, I notice changes. Be careful. Independence is interesting, but dangerous. I smiled faintly, resting Olivia against my chest. Yes, I whispered to her. It's dangerous, but it's also ours. Our beginning. Maya leaned close. You're really doing it. You're changing the dynamic. For the first time, you have a measure of power. Yes, I said softly, feeling the thrill of it. I can feel it, and I won't waste it. Every day, every move, it's a step toward control. Towards leverage. And one day he will realize he misjudged me. Julian placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. Just, don't let him see you coming. Patience is as important as courage. I know, I said. I've learned that. And I've learned something else too. The streets taught me survival. Olivia taught me love. Now, I'm learning strategy. And this is where I begin to turn the game. That night, I held Olivia close, whispering her name over and over. You're our strength. You're our future. Damien thinks he's in control, but he's wrong. And Sophia, she'll see it soon enough. The balance is shifting, baby. The power is ours. For the first time in my life, I felt unstoppable. The fear that had gripped me since the streets, since Damien's first approach, was still there, but tempered, sharpened, transformed into calculated courage. And in the quiet moments, with Olivia's tiny fingers brushing against mine, I knew it. Damien had underestimated me. He had not accounted for the bond between mother and child, the transformation fear into strategy, survival into intelligence. The power shift had begun. And I was ready. I never imagined that curiosity could feel so dangerous. But it did. One evening, while Damien was away on business, I found myself going through folders, files, and messages that had been carelessly left unattended. My heart raced, not out of fear but exhilaration. Maya, I whispered, flipping through a thick file labeled confidential, you're not going to believe this. Her eyes widened. What? Lila, be careful. You know what happens if he catches you snooping. I know, I said, my voice calm but sharp. But I need this. I need leverage. And, oh my God, Maya, look at this. She leaned closer. What is it? Damien, he's been hiding deals. Bribes, offshore accounts, manipulation of his own board members. Some of it's illegal. And, my hands shook as I read a note, some of it implicates his sister, Renee. Maya gasped. Renee? She's part of this. Yes, I said, a thrill coursing through me. She's been quietly covering for him. But these files, they're enough to ruin both of them if used correctly. We sat in tense silence, the weight of the discovery settling over us. Lila, Maya whispered. This could change everything. But it's dangerous. You have to be careful. I know, I said. But this is power. I can manipulate him now, subtly. Without him realizing. I can control the narrative. It was the same strategy one had used with Olivia and the small victories over his surveillance. Observation, careful maneuvering, subtle power shifts. But this was bigger. This was dangerous, and it thrilled me. A few days later, a knock at the door startled me. I opened it to find a tall man in a plain suit, a badge glinting in the dim light. Detective Harris, he said, extending his hand. I'm investigating Damien Carlisle's business dealings. Mind if I come in? I froze. You're a detective? Yes. And I think you might have information that could help my investigation. Maya nudged me. Lila, think carefully. I took a deep breath. I might know a few things. But we need to be discreet. Harris nodded, serious. Of course. This is delicate. One wrong word and everything collapses. We spoke quietly, and I felt an unusual surge of control. For the first time, my knowledge was valuable, dangerous, and something Damien could not see coming. You understand, Harris said, that this could put you in danger? I do, I said. But I also understand leverage. And I'm done being a pawn. Meanwhile, Damien's presence loomed constantly, even when he wasn't physically near. I could feel his suspicion in subtle ways. A text asking why Olivia was quiet at nap time, a question about my compliance. I answered carefully, never revealing the extent of what I knew. He's suspicious, Maya whispered one evening. He feels a shift. You have to stay calm. I know, I said. Calm, strategic, invisible. That's the key. Julian noticed my tension. You're carrying more than Olivia now, he said quietly. Secrets, power, it's a lot. I can handle it, I said. I've handled worse. But I need to be careful. One misstep and it's all over. His eyes softened. You don't have to do it alone, Lila. I can help, guide, protect, whatever you need. I know, I admitted. But trust is hard for me. I can't just hand it over. I have to test, observe, gauge. That's how I survive. We worked in quiet coordination. I fed small pieces of information, watched Damien's reactions, noted inconsistencies in his explanations. Each subtle adjustment in his behavior, each hesitation, was a step closer to understanding his weaknesses. One evening my phone buzzed. Damien's text. Lila, you've been unusually quiet. What are you plotting? I smiled faintly, typing carefully. Nothing. Just focusing on Olivia. She's been keeping me busy. Minutes passed. No response. And then, finally. Very well. But remember, I'm always observing. I smirked, feeling a spark of triumph. He didn't know the truth, not yet. And that ignorance was my shield. Sophia, however, was no longer subtle. Her questions became pointed. She appeared at social events I attended with Damien, probing, observing, clearly trying to uncover who I was and what I knew. She's getting aggressive, Maya said, worry etched in her voice. Sophia's dangerous when cornered. Be careful. I know, I said. But aggression also reveals weaknesses. She's curious, ambitious, fearful. I can use that. My mind raced with scenarios, each one calculating, each one protective of Olivia. I realized something important. I was no longer just surviving. I was strategically navigating a battlefield. Every word, every interaction, every subtle move was part of a larger plan. Harris returned a week later. I've cross-referenced some of your information, he said. It's solid. If we act carefully, Damien and his inner circle could face serious consequences. But timing is everything. One misstep and you could be implicated. I understand, I said. Timing and precision. I've learned both. And I'll wait for the right moment. Good, he said. And you've changed. You're no longer just surviving. You're strategizing. That can be dangerous for those on the other side of the law, or for those who think they control you. I've always been dangerous, I said softly, more to myself than him. I just didn't realize it until now. Maya squeezed my hand. You're not just dangerous. You're unstoppable if you keep this up. I nodded. I have to be. Damien has underestimated me at every turn. And Sophia, she's curious, ambitious, but she lacks the street smarts I've built from surviving. That gap, that's where I find leverage. Later that night, I lay awake, Olivia sleeping peacefully beside me. I traced her tiny fingers with mine, reflecting on how far I'd come. Fear had shaped me, survival had hardened me, and now strategy had sharpened me. I wasn't just a mother, not just a woman trapped in Damien's arrangement. I was a force, subtle, precise, growing stronger with every passing day. I whispered to Olivia, "One day, baby, they'll realize they underestimated us. But not yet. Not until we're ready. We'll play this carefully, wisely, and when the time comes, we'll strike." Maya leaned against the doorframe. "You really mean that, don't you? No more hiding." "Yes," I said softly. "No more hiding. And I'll use everything I've learned, every secret, every weakness, to protect us and to gain control. Damien thinks he's untouchable, but he's wrong. He always underestimates me. And Sophia, she'll only speed up my process." Julian appeared at the edge of the room, his presence quiet but reassuring. "You're planning, I can see it. But promise me, don't lose yourself in the strategy. You're stronger than you know, but you have to protect yourself too." "I know," I said, looking at both of them. "I'll protect myself. And Olivia. And I'll survive. But I'm not a victim anymore. I'm a strategist. And soon, everyone who underestimated me will regret it." For the first time in months, I felt clarity. The fear, the uncertainty, the constant tension. All of it had shaped me into someone sharper, more cunning, more deliberate. Damien's control was waning, Sophia's curiosity was a tool, and Detective Harris offered a path to ensure justice without exposing myself. I was no longer waiting for life to happen to me. I was orchestrating it. And the secrets I held, the knowledge of Damien's corruption, his family's betrayals, and the small gaps in his confidence, were my weapons. I whispered to Olivia once more, tracing the line of her tiny jaw. "The world thinks it controls us, but they don't know. They haven't realized that the storm is already inside me. And when it breaks, they'll see who we really are." I watched from the shadows as chaos began to unfold in Damien's empire, and I felt a thrill I hadn't allowed myself in months. His arrogance had always been his weakness, and my careful nudges, subtle manipulations, and discreetly shared evidence with Detective Harris had started unraveling the perfect facade he maintained. "Maya," I whispered one evening, holding Olivia close, "it's happening. The cracks, they're showing." Maya looked tense but excited. "I see it too. But be careful, Lila. He'll lash out if he senses it." "I know," I said softly. "But this is what I've been waiting for. Karma in motion. And I'll ride it carefully, strategically." Julian sat nearby, hands folded, observing. "I can't believe how precise you've been. Every small move, it's like watching a master at work." "I've survived worse," I said. "And this is just another battlefield. But Julian, it's intoxicating and terrifying. I feel powerful but guilty at the same time. Is that normal?" "It's normal," he said gently. "Revenge always carries a cost. But you're doing it with control, Lila, not rage. That makes all the difference." I nodded, stroking Olivia's hair. "Control, yes. That's the key. I can't let anger blind me. I need precision, strategy, patience. Every reaction I provoke, every small doubt I sow, it's calculated." The first sign of real trouble came with a phone call from an unknown number. Sophia's voice, sharp and suspicious, cut through. "Lila, we need to talk. Now." My pulse quickened. "I was wondering when you'd notice something," I murmured to Maya. "What are you going to do?" she asked, anxiety clear in her voice. "Meet her. Carefully. I need to gauge what she knows." I arrived at the agreed location, a quiet cafe, and found Sophia waiting, poised, eyes calculating. "You've been very clever," she said, her voice sharp but controlled. "I know something's going on. Something you think Damien doesn't know. But I do." "I think you give me too much credit," I said softly, keeping Olivia safely in her stroller beside me. "I'm just attentive." "Attentive, yes," she replied, voice low, "but you're also dangerous. Don't mistake my curiosity for ignorance." I smiled faintly. "Dangerous is in the eye of the beholder, Sophia. And I've learned to see clearly." She leaned forward, studying me. "I don't know if I admire or despise you. But one thing is clear, you've shaken Damien more than anyone else ever could. And I'm intrigued." "I'm not here to intrigue," I said, tone firm. "I'm here to survive. And I will. Carefully. Strategically. Every move I make is to protect Olivia and myself. You should understand that." Her gaze hardened. "I understand more than you think. But don't get cocky. Damien may be arrogant, but he's not blind. One wrong step. Step, I interrupted softly, is a lesson. And one I'm willing to learn, but one I will not let him use against us. Not again. Maya's hand brushed my shoulder gently. She's testing you, Lila. Don't let her get inside your head. I won't, I said. But I will test her too. Carefully. Observation is everything. Back at home, Julian watched me with quiet concern. You're walking a fine line. Damien's mistakes are piling up, yes, but this is dangerous territory. How much can you push before it turns on you? I can push far enough, I said, my voice steady. I've learned to calculate reactions. And this is where the balance shifts. He underestimates me, Sophia underestimates me, and that's my advantage. The next few days were a blur of strategic moves. I subtly exposed errors in Damien's business reports, whispered questions that prompted him to make hasty decisions, and watched the empire wobble on shaky foundations. His frustration was palpable. One afternoon, his call came, voice tight, laced with irritation. Lila, what have you done? Done? I repeated, calm. I've simply been careful, Damien. Observant, protective, and strategic. Is that a problem? Yes, he said sharply. Because your attentiveness is causing disruption. Everything is off balance. That's not my intention, I said softly. It's just a consequence. Actions have consequences, Damien. And sometimes those consequences aren't controllable by anyone. Not even you. He was silent for a long moment. Then finally, be careful, Lila. You're walking a dangerous path. I know, I whispered almost to myself. And for the first time I feel powerful. And responsible for that power. Julian leaned close. I've watched you transform. From scared, cornered, desperate, to calculated, careful, unstoppable. But you have to remember, revenge always has a price. I know, I said. And I'm prepared to pay it. Strategically. Carefully. But I won't be a victim anymore. Not to him. Not to anyone. Maya, ever the anchor, squeezed my hand. You're doing well, Lila. But never forget, balance, control, strategy. Don't let triumph blind you to danger. I won't, I said. Triumph, yes. Guilt, yes. But I've learned to wield both. And I can. I must. For Olivia. For me. Sophia's interference intensified. She questioned Damien more directly, probed for information, and tried to uncover my identity. Each interaction I observed, each question she asked, became data for my next move. I see her curiosity, I told Maya one night, exhaustion and exhilaration mixing in my voice. She's probing, testing. And she doesn't know I can read her just as well as she tries to read me. You're unstoppable, Maya said softly. I don't know if I should be scared or proud. Both, I said, smiling faintly. Both is right. That's the truth of power. It's intoxicating, thrilling, and it carries guilt. I feel both, and that's why I move carefully. Damien's miscalculations became obvious. He started doubting his team, questioning his decisions, and his usual arrogance turned to frustration. The empire he believed untouchable was showing cracks, and I knew precisely where to strike if necessary. One evening, his voice trembled with irritation during a call. Lila, how is it that everything seems unstable? You're involved somehow, aren't you? I'm involved, I admitted softly, but not maliciously. I'm observant, careful, protective. Actions have consequences, Damien. And sometimes even the best laid plans falter. You've been clever, he muttered, voice tight with frustration. But this cannot continue. Perhaps, I said quietly, but the consequences, they're out of your control now. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what you deserve. Julian shook his head gently. You're clever, but don't let the thrill of triumph cloud your judgment. I won't, I said. I'm aware. Every step, every word, every interaction, it's all measured. But the feeling, the realization that I'm not powerless anymore, it's intoxicating. Maya rested her hand on mine. And Olivia? She's our reason, I said, smiling faintly. Our shield and our strength. Everything I do now is for her. And that's why. I feel both triumph and guilt. Because revenge is sweet, but it's never without cost. The empire wobbled. Damien's frustration deepened. Sophia's suspicion grew. And I felt fully empowered. No longer the scared girl of the streets, no longer a pawn in Damien's games. I was a strategist, a protector, a mother, and a force he had underestimated at every turn. I whispered to Olivia as she slept, "They think they control us, baby. But they don't know. They won't know until it's too late. And when the reckoning comes, karma will move in our favor." I didn't wait for him to come to me this time. I walked into his office, Olivia in her stroller, her tiny eyes curious, alert. Damien looked up, surprised. "Lila," he said, voice clipped. What are you doing here?" "I'm here," I said firmly, "because we need to talk. You need to acknowledge your actions. And I need you to see, consequences exist." His eyes narrowed. "Consequences? You think you have power over me?" "I know I do," I said, calm but fierce. "Every secret, every manipulation, every misstep you've made, every crack in your empire, was visible to me. And now, it's time you realize it too." Damien's jaw tightened. "You're bold. Reckless. You're risking everything." "I'm risking nothing," I said, shaking my head. "I'm protecting everything. Olivia, me, what we've built from nothing. You had your chance to control everything and you failed. Miserably." He laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Control? You're delusional. Do you think threatening me changes anything? You're a pawn. Always have been." I stepped closer, voice low, deliberate. "Pawn? No. I was a pawn when I had nothing. But now I'm a queen in a game you never understood. Every move I've made has been calculated, precise. And every move you've made, predictable, arrogant, blind." He slammed his hand on the desk. "You're crossing a line, Lila. You don't know what you're doing." "I know exactly what I'm doing," I said, anger rising. "And you need to hear this. Your empire is crumbling, Damien. Every relationship you've manipulated, every deal you've falsified, every person you've underestimated, is collapsing." Sophia stepped from behind the door, arms crossed, eyes sharp. "Is that true, Damien? Or is this some fantasy she's conjured?" Damien froze, his mask faltering. "Sophia," he started, voice tight. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," she interrupted. "I see the miscalculations, the arrogance, the deceit. You thought no one noticed. But Lila, she saw everything. And now it's unraveling before your eyes." I could feel Olivia squirm slightly in the stroller. I bent down, whispering softly. "It's okay, baby. You're our strength. You're why this matters." Renee appeared behind Sophia, hesitant, conflicted. "Damien, is this true?" "Yes," I said, firm. "Every accusation, every exposure, all true. And now you all have a choice. Acknowledge it or watch the consequences take you down. Slowly, painfully, undeniably." Damien's hands trembled, his pride clashing with reality. You think you can judge me? You think you can play this game?" "I'm not judging, Damien," I said quietly. "I'm showing you what happens when you treat people like pawns. I'm showing you the human cost of arrogance and betrayal. And I'm showing you, I'm not afraid." He stepped closer, eyes burning. "Lila, you don't understand. Everything I've done, it was for the family, for business, for yourself," I interrupted sharply. "All for yourself. You used people, manipulated them, betrayed them, including me. And for what? Pride? Power? Money? You think I care about what you think?" he snarled. "I don't," I said. "But I care that you're accountable. That you see the consequences. That you feel the weight of the lives you've affected." Sophia's gaze softened, though warily. "Lila, are you seeking revenge?" I shook my head slowly. "No. I'm seeking acknowledgement. I'm seeking truth. I want him to see what he's done. To face it. That's all. Revenge, that's a path I may walk carefully, but today is about exposure." Damien's breathing was ragged, pride and panic warring on his face. You're impossible," he muttered. "Maybe," I said, voice steady. "But I'm no longer the girl you underestimated. I'm a mother, Damien. Olivia is my leverage, yes, but she's also my heart, my power, my reason. And we are not afraid." Renee shifted uneasily. I didn't know it had gone this far," she murmured. "Damien, maybe it's time to stop." "Stop?" he spat, shaking his head. "Stop? You think it's that simple?" "I am not going to be humiliated." "You are humiliated," I said quietly, every word deliberate. "By your own actions. By your arrogance. By the truth you tried to hide. And you are powerless to change it now. You cannot control what is revealed. Not anymore." He turned to Sophia, fury and shame warring in his expression. "And you've believed her?" "I believe what I see," Sophia said, unwavering. "And what I see is truth. Your miscalculations, Damien, have caught up to you. And Lila, she's the only one who's been honest. With herself, with us, with the consequences of your actions. I felt the thrill of control, tempered by the weight of responsibility. This wasn't just about vindication, it was about justice, about exposure, about survival. Do you understand now? I asked him softly. Do you see what happens when arrogance blinds a man? When pride clouds judgment? When manipulation becomes predictable? His shoulders slumped slightly, the first crack in his armor. I didn't, he started. You didn't listen, I said. And now, you face the consequences. Not me. Not Olivia. But the life you built on deceit, the empire you thought untouchable, the people you underestimated. That's the cost of your choices. Silence hung in the room, heavy and tangible. Olivia gurgled softly from her stroller. I smiled at her, a quiet reminder that she was the symbol of my resilience, my reason, and my power. Damien faltered again, words failing him. Pride and panic warred in every line of his face. You have a choice, I said calmly. Acknowledgement, repair, or continued denial. The consequences will come either way. But you cannot escape them. Sophia watched him with a mixture of triumph and caution. He can't undo what's been done, Damien. He can't erase the mistakes. But perhaps, he can learn finally the cost of his arrogance. Damien's hands trembled. Lila, what do you want from me? I took a deep breath. Acknowledgement, truth, responsibility. And for now, leave us in peace. Olivia and I will continue. We will thrive. We will survive. And you will see the weight of your choices every single day. He faltered again, chest heaving. Yes, I said. Me. And this moment is the beginning of your reckoning. You can try to control it, but it's out of your hands now. Renee's eyes were wide, conflicted. I see it now, she whispered. He miscalculated everything. You underestimated me, I said softly. And that's the lesson. Pride is fragile. Arrogance is destructive. And manipulation always has a cost. Julian stepped forward, placing a steadying hand on my shoulder. You've done well, Lila. Careful, precise, controlled. You've made him face the truth without losing yourself. I hope so, I whispered. But I also know, revenge, exposure, truth, all of it comes with weight. And the line between justice and cruelty, it's thinner than anyone expects. Olivia stirred in her stroller. I smiled down at her, voice gentle. We're safe, baby. For now. And the world will see, your mother is not to be underestimated. Damien turned away, pride shattered, eyes wide with a mixture of anger and dawning realization. He had miscalculated, underestimated me, and now faced the unraveling he never saw coming. And in that moment I realized something profound. I was no longer a victim. I was a force. Calculated, precise, and fully aware of the power I held, not for destruction but for survival, truth, and justice. The news came early in the morning. Damien's empire had crumbled, public scandals, insider betrayals, and the evidence I'd carefully planted had all come together like a perfect storm. The man who once controlled everything, everyone, was now exposed, powerless, humiliated. I sat on the balcony with Olivia in my lap, her tiny fingers gripping mine, staring at the city waking up. We did it, baby, I whispered. We survived. And we thrived. Maya appeared behind me, coffee in hand, eyes tired but proud. I can't believe it. You actually did it. I smiled faintly. I had to. Not just for me, for Olivia. For the life we deserve. And for every time I told myself I was powerless. That ends now. She handed me the cup. You've survived more than most people could ever imagine. Don't forget that. I won't, I said softly, watching the news on my phone. Damien's face flashed across the screen, flustered, trying to defend himself. But the evidence was overwhelming. His pride was broken and the world could see it. Julian appeared on the balcony, leaning against the railing. You look relieved, he said, eyes scanning me carefully. I am, I admitted. But it's complicated. Relief is mixed with everything else. The anger, the guilt, the weight of what I've done. Karma isn't clean. Revenge isn't clean. But it's necessary. He nodded slowly. I understand. And I respect it. You've done what had to be done. But I also want you to know, he hesitated, searching for the right words. I want a future with you, Lila. If you'll let me. I turned to him, Olivia snuggled against my chest. A future? My voice was quiet, unsure. After all of this, trust is fragile, Julian. You know that. I do, he said softly. But I'm willing to earn it. Step by step. And if you let me, I'll be here always. Not as a savior, but as someone who believes in you and in us. Maya's hand brushed mine. Lila, you don't have to answer him now. Not ever. Just know that there's someone who won't betray you, who won't manipulate you. I nodded, eyes on Olivia, thinking of the journey that had brought us here. Sleeping on the streets, scams and survival, Damien's offer, the pregnancy, the betrayals, the manipulations, the secrets, the calculated revenge. Every step had hardened me, sharpened me, changed me. Lila, Julian's voice was gentle. I know this world has hurt you. But you've survived it all and you've grown stronger for it. Let me be part of your strength, not a source of fear. I looked at him, really looked, seeing sincerity in every line of his face. I don't know if I can fully trust again, I admitted. Not yet. Not after everything. But I feel something. And that's enough for now. He smiled faintly. That's enough for me. Maya leaned back, exhaling. You've come so far. And now we get to enjoy it at least a little. You and Olivia, living a life no one can take away from you. I traced Olivia's tiny fingers with mine, feeling the warmth and innocence she carried. She's our reason, I whispered. She's why I endured every nightmare, every betrayal, every fear. She's why I survived. And why I can look forward now instead of just surviving. The phone buzzed with another news alert. Damien's public apology had gone viral. His empire was in shambles, Renee was distancing herself, and Sophia. Well, Sophia had vanished from the headlines, presumably licking her own wounds. I leaned back, a strange mix of triumph and exhaustion washing over me. It's over, I murmured. For now. But I'll never forget the lessons. Nor should you, Maya said firmly. You've learned more in these months than most people in a lifetime. Strength, cunning, patience, and the cost of trust. I closed my eyes briefly, letting it all sink in. The streets, the cold nights, the desperation, the deals, the betrayals, the careful manipulations, the calculated revenge. I felt pride, but also a twinge of guilt. The power I had wielded, the lives disrupted, the chaos unleashed, it all carried weight. Julian's hand found mine again. You're not alone, Lila. You never have to be. Not now, not ever. I opened my eyes, seeing hope reflected in his gaze. I know, I said softly. And maybe it's time I allow myself to trust, slowly, carefully. But for now, Olivia and I, we need peace. Maya nodded. And you'll have it. You've earned it. Every sleepless night, every risk, it's brought you here. I smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from Olivia's face. We've survived. And we'll thrive. That's enough for me. For now. Julian watched us, quiet and supportive. You're incredible, Lila. Strong, smart, unstoppable. And he nodded toward Olivia. She's lucky to have you as her mother. I felt a warmth spread through me. We're lucky to have each other, I said. Every scar, every fear, every moment of uncertainty, it's led us here. To this. To a life we control. And that's what matters. The city outside moved on, oblivious to the battles fought in silence, to the empire that had fallen, to the lives transformed. But I didn't need the world to see. I needed Olivia, Maya, Julian, and the knowledge that I was no longer powerless. That I was free in every sense that mattered. Sophia's threats, Damien's pride, Renee's complicity, they were ghosts now, reminders of a past I had survived. And I had survived not through luck, but through strategy, patience, and an unbreakable will. Lila, Julian said softly after a long pause, what now? I looked at him, then at Olivia, then at Maya. Now we live. Carefully. Honestly. And for ourselves. We rebuild. We heal. We grow. And we never allow anyone to underestimate us again. Maya smiled. That's the Lila I know. Survivor, strategist, mother, unstoppable. I held Olivia closer. And this is just the beginning. We've faced betrayal, danger, manipulation, and revenge. And we've survived it all. I know now we can survive anything. Together. Julian squeezed my hand gently. Together, he said. I nodded, feeling a sense of closure I hadn't thought possible. The storm had passed, leaving scars, lessons, and strength. Damien was defeated, Sophia's curiosity had cost her, and Renee had vanished into the shadows of their crumbling world. But Olivia, Julian, Maya, and I, we remained. Stronger, wiser, more aware of our power and our choices. The streets that once haunted me, the deals that once trapped me, the betrayals that once broke me, they had forged me into someone unstoppable. Here's to us, I whispered softly, kissing Olivia's forehead. To survival. To growth. To everything we've earned. And to everything we'll build from here. Maya placed a hand on my shoulder. And we'll be with you every step. You're not alone. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight lift slightly from my shoulders. No, I said. We're not alone. And we never will be. The past is behind us. The future is ours to shape. Carefully, wisely, and fearlessly. Julian smiled, eyes gentle but full of promise. Then let's shape it together. I looked down at Olivia again, her tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and felt a quiet power settle in my chest. We had faced betrayal, danger, and revenge. We had survived every test. And now we were free to live fully, fiercely, and on our own terms. And that was enough. The morning sunlight poured through the window, golden and warm, and I felt a lightness I hadn't known in years. Olivia cooed softly in her crib, tiny fingers gripping her blanket, and I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Good morning, baby, I whispered. A new day. A new beginning. Maya appeared in the doorway, coffee in hand. I see someone is awake early, she said, teasing, though her eyes were full of pride. And you look different, stronger, happier. I feel different, I admitted, stretching slowly. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm living my life. Not just surviving it. You deserve that, Lila, she said softly. After everything this peace, you've earned it. Julian appeared behind her, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Morning, he said gently. I see the sun isn't the only thing shining here. I laughed softly, feeling warmth spread in my chest. It's nice to feel safe, to feel like we can build something real, something lasting. He stepped closer, resting a hand on my shoulder. And we will. Together. No games, no manipulation, no shadows. Just us. And Olivia. I nodded, glancing down at my daughter. She's the reason, Julian. Everything I've done, every risk, every strategy, it was for her. And now, we can finally live without fear. Maya poured coffee for herself and sat across from me. I never thought I'd see this day, she said, eyes glistening slightly. You've grown from that scared girl in the streets into someone unstoppable. I smiled faintly, a mix of pride and bittersweet memories surfacing. I've grown, I admitted. But it hasn't been easy. Every step forward came with pain, betrayal, and hard choices. But I learned that pain can forge strength. That vulnerability doesn't mean weakness. It can mean awareness, strategy, survival. Julian leaned in, his voice gentle. You've proven that, Lila. And now, it's time to enjoy it. Time to embrace what you've built with your own hands. Your own heart. I took a deep breath, letting the sunlight fill my lungs. I never want to be controlled again. Not by anyone. Not by Damien, not by circumstance, not by fear. Olivia and I, we're free. Maya reached out, squeezing my hand. And we'll be here with you. Every step. Every triumph. Every challenge. I nodded, a quiet determination settling in me. I know. And that's the difference. I'm not alone. I have allies, friends, love, and a life we fought for. Carefully. Strategically. With purpose. Julian smiled, looking at Olivia as she played with her blanket. She's lucky, he said softly, to have a mother like you. Strong, wise, brave, and fiercely protective. I laughed softly. She's my heart, Julian. My leverage, yes, but also my reason. My reminder that survival isn't just about me anymore. It's about creating a life that matters. For her and for us. Maya leaned back, sipping her coffee. I'm proud of you, Lila. More than you know. You've taken everything life threw at you, and turned it into strength. I smiled faintly. Strength comes from struggle, I said quietly. And strategy comes from observation. I've learned to combine both. And now, I can live intentionally without fear. The phone buzzed, a news alert. Damien's latest attempt to rebuild his reputation had failed. Public opinion was against him, and his arrogance had left him isolated, facing the consequences of his actions. I felt a faint satisfaction, but no gloating. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was closure. Looks like he's finally learning, I murmured. The price of pride. Julian glanced at me, a hint of caution in his eyes. Don't let satisfaction turn into obsession. You've done enough. You've survived. You've won. I know, I said, voice soft but firm. And I feel relief. But also awareness. The past is behind me, but the lessons stay. And the strength I carry forward. Maya smiled, eyes glistening. And that's why you're unstoppable, Lila. You've endured, you've survived, you've strategized, and you've emerged whole. And wiser. And nothing can control you again. I reached for Olivia, lifting her gently. She's our future, I whispered. And that future is ours to shape. Carefully. Wisely. Fearlessly. We've earned the right to live free from fear, manipulation, and betrayal. Julian stepped closer, taking my hand. And we'll shape it together. You, me, and Olivia. Step by step. Day by day. I nodded, feeling a sense of closure I hadn't thought possible. The streets that once haunted me, the betrayals, the manipulations, the nights of fear, they had forged me into someone resilient, strategic, and fully aware of her power. Renee is coming over today, Maya said, breaking the quiet. She wants to see Olivia, and you. I think she's looking for reconciliation. I considered it for a moment. Reconciliation, maybe, but only if it's honest. I've learned that trust must be earned, carefully. And we've learned to value our boundaries. Julian squeezed my hand. Boundaries, yes, but connections too. Support. Friends. Family. Carefully chosen allies make life richer, safer, stronger. I smiled faintly. We have that now. And we'll protect it fiercely. Olivia, you, me, and carefully chosen friends who respect us. The afternoon came, warm and golden. Renee arrived, hesitant, nervous. She glanced at me, then at Olivia. I wanted to see her, she said softly. And you. I want to apologize for my part in the chaos. Damien's arrogance, it trapped all of us in different ways. I nodded slowly. Acknowledgement is the first step, I said. And I accept it. But trust must be rebuilt carefully. Step by step. She nodded, relief in her expression. I understand. And I want to be part of your life if you allow it. To support, not control. We'll see, I said softly. Carefully. But yes, support is welcome. Manipulation is not. Olivia cooed, tiny fingers stretching toward Renee. I lifted her gently, letting Renee hold her for a moment. See, I whispered. She chooses hope, love, not fear or control. Let that guide your actions. The evening settled over us, golden light fading into a calm, starry night. I watched Olivia sleep, Julian beside me, Maya nearby, and Renee's tentative smile reflecting understanding. This is peaceful, I murmured, letting myself breathe fully for the first time in years. After all we've endured, it feels right. Julian's hand found mine again. It's more than right. It's earned. And it's just the beginning. I nodded, letting a small, genuine smile form. The beginning of a life fully our own. Free from fear, free from manipulation, free from anyone controlling us. Carefully, wisely, fearlessly. That's the promise I make to myself, and to Olivia. Maya rested a hand on my shoulder. And we'll hold you to it. Gently. Supportively. Proudly. I laughed softly, a sound of genuine peace. Good. Because we've survived everything else, surviving this, with love, strategy, and care, is our right. Our choice. Our beginning. The city outside was alive, indifferent to our small world. But inside in our home there was safety, warmth, and hope. I had transformed, from a vulnerable homeless girl to a strategic, independent, emotionally resilient woman. Olivia was the symbol of that transformation, Julian the steady anchor, Maya the unshakable support, and Renee a reminder of lessons learned. I kissed Olivia gently on her forehead. This is our life, I whispered. And we will protect it, nurture it, and shape it, carefully, wisely, and without fear. We will never allow anyone to control us again. And for the first time in a long time, I truly believed it.